Devastating truth, 40 biblical revelations that will change your life forever. The night was alive with shadows, each flicker of candlelight revealing the ancient text of the Bible. But this was no ordinary reading, the air was thick with a kind of electric tension. Rumors buzzed from the townsfolk about miraculous revelations, 40 inexplicable truths that could flip the world upside down. Some whispered that these secrets could unlock doors to hidden dimensions. Others shuddered at the thought of what it meant for their very lives. The words had a life of their own, pulsing like a heartbeat in the stillness, begging to be uncovered, yet feared, just the same. In the center of town, the atmosphere crackled as curious eyes and filled hearts gathered at the old church and edifice, watching over generations. A chill sent ripples of unease through the crowd as a mysterious figure stepped into view, draped in shadows. A faint glimmer reflected against their hood, sending a thrill of trepidation through the assembled. Who were they? An oracle? A prophet? The palpable, collective intake of breath felt like a thunderclap in the silence. This moment was something out of a tantalizing dream, filled with dark possibilities and heavenly promises. Among the onlookers was Sarah, her heart racing at the thought that these secrets held the answer to a crisis of faith that had gnawed at her soul. She could feel a tightness in her chest as she caught whispers about miracles performed by the seemingly mundane. Did a man once walk on water? Did a child face a lion and emerge unscathed? The stories bounced in her mind like echoes off the cracked walls. Her trembling hands gripped the edges of her coat as a sudden scream pierced the night, stealing the breath right from her lungs. Suddenly, the figure raised a hand, their voice clear and echoing like a thunderstorm, "The truth shall reveal itself only to the brave." Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the crowd gasped, the air turned icy, a profound silence wrapping around them. The work of 1,000 years seemed to press down on them, layered in confusion and anticipation. Sarah's heart raced even faster. What lay behind these secrets? What would they bring to her life, to their lives? One question throbbed in her mind like a war drum: was she ready to confront the most potent spiritual truths of her life? And as the first revelation began to slip into the light, the mystery deepened. Step forward, if you dare. The figure beckoned with a voice that seemed to reverberate through the very bones of the church. An unsettling mix of fear and excitement gripped Sarah. The crowd stirred, murmurs buzzing like angry bees. Some stepped back, instinctively wanting to distance themselves from whatever dark magic was about to unfold. Others leaned closer, drawn by an irresistible force. She glanced at her neighbors. Old Mr. Jenkins, who had always been a steadfast believer, visibly trembled, his eyes wide with both fear and awe. Young Emily, just 15, whispered nervous questions to her mother. They both shared a glance that screamed uncertainty. This was not your average Thursday evening congregation. Was it courage or insanity that propelled Sarah to shuffle forward? She couldn't tell. The impulse was raw, a primal call echoing deep within her. As she stepped into the candlelight, the figure lowered their hood, revealing eyes of piercing silver, fragments of stars trapped in flesh. Many will come to hear the truth, but only a few will grasp its essence, they declared. What you hold dear will be tested tonight. Oh God! Sarah thought, clutching her coat as if it could shield her from the storm brewing in the depths of her soul. The mysterious figure gestured to a scroll unfurling on an altar, its edges shimmering with faint light. Behold the first truth. A swirling mist began to emanate from the parchment, enveloping the crowd, seeping into their lungs, thick as smoke. The sensation clawed at their throats, an intoxicating yet suffocating blend of fear and exhilaration. Sarah's heart hammered wildly inside her chest, drowning out the world around her. As the mist grew thicker, vivid images burst alive before her eyes. She saw a man, his face obscured, yet radiating an indescribable power. "I am the Alpha and Omega," he spoke, his voice a raucous thunder echoing within the souls present. "The beginning and the end." With each word, an ancient warmth washed over Sarah, filling the hollow corners of her doubt, illuminating the path where darkness had once reigned. But then the image shifted, chaos erupted around them. Tongues of fire split the scene, and muffled cries filled the air, people running, screaming, engulfed by shadows. She felt their terror like an icy hand gripping her heart. What was happening? "Many will deny, few will embrace," the figure declared, voice booming. "But tonight, the veil will be lifted. Will you choose understanding over ignorance?" With that, the church rattled as if the very foundations were shaking with the weight of truth. Sarah's mind spun. Did she have it in her to confront the consequences of these revelations? The crowd erupted in desperate cries, a mix between thirst for knowledge and fear of what they would have to face. Suddenly, the scroll unraveled completely, and a loud crack echoed through the room. A new, unearthly tension filled the air, one that felt dangerous and electric, as though the walls themselves would collapse under the burden of the forbidden knowledge about to be revealed. "Are you ready?" the cloaked figure intoned, locking eyes with Sarah. The gaze shot straight to her core, an accusation and a promise rolled into one. Whatever lay ahead would alter everything. But just before she could respond, before she could fully form the words in her mind, the lights flickered, shadows twisted, and the church door crashed open with a force that sent a shiver down her spine. An ominous wind swept in, carrying whispers from the outside that chilled her blood. The truth is not for the faint-hearted. What was waiting for them beyond the door? Would Sarah be able to withstand the tempest of revelations unleashed around her? Everything hung in a precarious balance, about to tilt toward chaos or clarity. The gust slammed into Sarah like a freight train, throwing her hair wildly around her face. Gasps erupted from the congregation as the heavy door swung wide, revealing a night thick with fog. Shadows danced in the stillness just outside. A sense of dread crawled up her spine, mingling with her growing curiosity. "Stay back!" Mr. Jenkins shouted, his voice cracking like brittle glass. The weight of his fear surged through the crowd, igniting panic as people stumbled over one another to retreat, desperate to put distance between themselves and the unknown. "What do you see?" Sarah shouted back, forcing the words through her tight throat as she stepped closer to the threshold. It was a desperate act, but something deep within her compelled her to do it. She couldn't help it. This was where the answers awaited, possibly even liberation from the chains of ignorance. A figure emerged from the fog, shrouded in darkness. Their form was indistinct, yet familiar. Sarah squinted, and her breath hitched when a wave of recognition washed over her. It was a woman, a young girl, really one she'd known in passing at the market. "Anna?" she whispered. The girl had gone missing weeks ago, vanishing without a trace, leaving her friends and family to mourn her absence. "Help me." Anna's voice was a fragile whisper, as if the mist itself absorbed her words. "They're coming. The truth will consume us all if we don't act now." Sarah's heart raced. What was happening? The stakes were climbing higher with every second. The cloaked figure inside the church watched with a knowing smirk, reveling in the chaos unfolding around them. "The veil grows thin," they intoned, "and the wicked will soon reveal themselves. It is not just truth that is lurking in the shadows. You must decide, will you stand against it or join it?" "Join what?" Sarah shouted defiantly. "I'm not afraid of shadows." Confidence surged within her, igniting a flame against the creeping cold. Another resonant crack echoed through the room, louder than the first, causing the windows to rattle. The crowd flinched, but Sarah stood her ground. Meanwhile, Anna, still half buried in the fog, stepped forward hesitantly, eyes wide and desperate. "Please, I need you, Sarah. There's more at stake than you can imagine. They're waking up. They're not just living in our world anymore, they're hunting it." The air thickened, and a dreadful realization gripped Sarah. The figure at the altar wasn't merely a curious spectacle, they were a harbinger. The thought sent chills coursing through her, each one sharper than the last. Fear one T protect you. The cloaked figure boomed, each word reverberating with sinister power. Embrace the truth or be consumed by it. Panic swelled, a palpable force thrumming in the air as individuals began to back away from the door, unwilling to face the submerged horrors lurking just outside. But Sarah couldn't retreat. Not now. She felt the pull of being the one to face whatever lay ahead. With a deep breath, Sarah took a definitive step forward, determination hardening her resolve. I won't let fear dictate my fate, she declared, pushing back against the clamor of doubt in her own mind. She reached out for Anna, ready to pull her from the grasp of the fog, ready to face whatever darkness awaited them all. The church trembled as the echoes of the unknown grew louder. In that moment, the world outside seemed to shift, shadows taking form, a new darkness merging with the light. Time hung suspended as their fates intertwined. What will you do? The figure challenged, anticipation painting their silver eyes. But a sudden crash pierced through the thick tension, a violent, thunderous boom reverberating around them. The church trembled once more, and then, just beyond the door, a blood-curdling scream shattered the night. What had emerged from the fog to threaten them? Would they plunge into the gathering storm or retreat into darkness? The sound of that scream echoed in Sarah's ears, a chilling reminder of the stakes. The crowd froze, a collective gasp rippling through the congregation, locking them in place as terror painted their faces pale. Sarah felt a knot forming tight in her stomach, her heart thundering as adrenaline coursed through her veins. Anna! She shouted, urgency spilling from her lips. We have to get you out of here. But Anna only shook her head slowly, her eyes shimmering with a mixture of fear and something darker. They're already inside, Anna breathed, her voice trembling. You don't understand, they've been waiting. They want your belief. Behind her, the cloaked figure at the altar let out a laugh, smooth, cold, and laced with malice. Believe? How quaint, they taunted, stepping forward, the shadows swirling around them like smoke. With each step, the air grew heavier, suffocating the room with an overwhelming dread. The sound of scraping metal drew Sarah's gaze toward the door. Someone was trying to get in. Panic surged through the crowd once more, people stumbled backward, colliding with the walls, eyes darting toward the sound. A flicker of movement danced beyond the door, a grotesque outline merging with the mist. Close the door! Screamed a man from the back, desperation fueling his words, but it was too late. The door buckled and splintered open, sending a cold breeze sweeping through the church like a physical blow. In that moment of chaos, Sarah caught a glimpse of what stood in the doorway, a lumbering figure distorted by the fog, dripping with shadows and glistening with an oily sheen. The creature's eyes glowed like embers in the dark, locked onto Anna and Sarah with an insatiable hunger that set her skin crawling. Run! Sarah shouted, her voice breaking through the noise as adrenaline flooded her system. She grabbed Anna's arm, the warmth of her skin grounding her in the escalating chaos. No! Anna protested, her voice rising in pitch. We can't leave. We need to face them together. It's the only way. No! Sarah's pulse raced at the thought of standing her ground against that thing. Panic gripped her heart tight, squeezing. We have to, but before she could finish, the creature lunged forward, a grotesque mass of shadow and fury. Sarah felt the air rush past her, the heat of body and breath mingling as it barreled toward them. She barely had time to react, yanking Anna out of the way just as a clawed hand swiped through the space where they'd just been standing. The congregation erupted into screams, a cacophony of raw fear as chairs toppled over, people scrambling to escape. Stay together! Mr. Jenkins shouted, his voice barely piercing through the din. He was trying to rally the panicking flock, but his eyes betrayed the danger. The cloaked figure remained eerily calm, observing the chaos with that unsettling smirk. Truth and terror walk hand in hand, dear ones, they called out. Only through facing your fears can you hope to see light again. Sarah felt a surge of defiance swell within her. The panic was suffocating, but so was the inevitability of the unknown. Fight back, she urged, feeling the fire of determination light in her chest. She wasn't just fighting for her life, she was fighting for Anna's life, for everyone in this church who had been led into fear. Gather around, she shouted, and somehow, it drew a few of them back. We need to stand together. But just as they began to regroup, the creature roared, a sound that shook the very foundations of the building. It seemed to break the spell of unity, scattering the crowd again into terrified disarray. Stand firm, Sarah rallied, holding on to Anna's arm for dear life. We're not alone. We can't let them take us. But darkness pressed in around them, suffocating and relentless. Just when it felt like hope was slipping away, a bright light flickered from the far end of the church. Is that? Anna gasped, clenching Sarah's hand tighter. Could it be possible? Was there a chance for salvation amidst the chaos, or would they fall into the very darkness they sought to refuse? The air crackled with suspense as they readied themselves, caught in a moment on the precipice of fear and bravery, anticipation humming like an electric current. Would they charge forward into the light, or cower in the shadows? Answers beckoned, but in the depths of that tension, danger hovered ever closer. The flickering light pulsed like a heartbeat against the oppressive gloom, pulling Sarah's gaze like a magnet. Was it hope or simply another cruel trick? She felt Anna's hand grip hers tighter, their breaths quickened, woven together in a silent pact that perhaps they could face whatever lay ahead. Follow me, Sarah whispered, her voice barely breaking above the cacophony of cries and the creature's snarls. She took a cautious step towards the light, feeling every pair of eyes in the room shift toward her. Her heart raced, she was scared but resolute. They needed to move, to act. Anna hesitated but then nodded, determination flickering in her eyes. Together, they stepped forward, a small beacon of rebellion against the tidal wave of fear, daring to find safety in the unknown. Just as they approached the source of the glow, the unsettling laughter of the cloaked figure echoed through the church. Ah, brave souls! But haven't you heard? Their voice dripped with sinister pleasure. All that glitters is not gold. The light is a trap, and out there lies only despair. An icy dread filled Sarah as the figure gestured languidly toward the door. The creature slunk back momentarily, its glowing eyes narrowing, keeping watch as if it were aware they were moving toward their salvation. Don't listen to it. A voice barked from the back, a middle-aged woman with a wild look in her eyes. We need to go while we can. Stay together. Mr. Jenkins bellowed again, still trying to maintain some semblance of authority, but his voice shook with uncertainty. The congregation teetered on the edge of chaos. Some hesitated, clinging to hope, while others began to inch toward the exit, eyes wide with fear as they considered the creeping darkness still looming behind them. Every second stretched on, filled with the stench of panic and sweat, and Sarah felt a lump form in her throat. Now, Sarah urged, her voice steady as she pushed forward. Let us go. We can make it. They sprang toward the glowing light, abandoning pulsing fear for that flicker of promise. But just as they reached the threshold, the creature lunged again, shattering the tension. It leapt forward with an earth-shaking roar, clawed hands outstretched, fierce hunger radiating from its very being. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine, but it was too late. The creature reached them in an instant, sweeping a massive shadowy arm to block their way. The air filled with a thick, acrid scent of decay as it smirked, relishing the chaos around it. Fools, you think you can escape? The cloaked figure chimed in, a mocking grin spreading across their face. You've never left this moment. You're trapped, all of you. In a split second, an idea sparked. Sarah turned sharply to Anna. We need to fortify our belief. If they want faith, let us give them that. What how? Anna stammered, confusion overtaking her fear. It's in us. It's strongest when we're united. With a surge of fervor, Sarah turned back to the crowd, believe in something bigger than this place. Believe in each other. A hesitant murmur rose among the congregation, some caught in old habits of skepticism, others finding the ember of hope flicker back to life. Sarah felt it, the tremors of resolve shivering through a few jagged hands reaching out, a soft spread of light beginning to blossom from within the panicking crowd. The cloaked figure's smile faltered, annoyance flickering in their dark eyes. You think that is enough? You think your belief can overcome what waits in the shadows? Before anyone could respond, the creature howled again, the sound ripping through the room like a knife. Sarah's heart sank as fear gripped tightly around her throat. What was she asking them to face? Stand firm. Mr. Jenkins shouted, his voice growing stronger as others joined in, their hearts bonding over the conscious effort to fight against despair. The air shifted, crackling with a new energy that rattled against the shadows. Suddenly, the flickering light surged, illuminating even the darkest corners. Just as hope began to swell, the creature lunged again. It seemed the looming shadow was now aware of their growing strength. Would faith be enough to shield them? Here lay the core of their endeavor, uniting against palpable terror. But within that light, was something more sinister lurking. As they braced for the worst, Sarah's heart raced with anticipation. Would they uncover their true power, or would they be devoured by darkness that still loomed? The moment felt poised on a knife's edge, waiting to tip in either direction. The creature lunged, its fearsome roar echoing through the church, making the old wooden beams shudder. Sarah's heart thundered in her chest, and she braced for impact, but a surge of energy crackled through the crowd. People stepped forward, drawn together like a coil spring ready to unleash its force. Hold on to one another. Someone shouted, cutting through the thick air. It was Janet, a widow who had often sat alone during service. Now her defiance sparked something, an electricity spreading through the group. Sarah's grip on Anna tightened as they formed an unbroken line with their neighbors. The flickering light embraced them, bathing their faces in a soft glow that seemed to pulse with meaning. It was a fragile hope, but it was theirs. Do not fear. Sarah called out, raising her voice above the tumult. It's only darkness trying to make us afraid. The words rippled through the congregation, and with them came a clarity. Fear transformed into something different: strength. In the moment of chaos, the creature faltered, taken aback by the rising tide of unity. Its shadowy figure hesitated, its predatory instincts clashing with the unexpected resilience of the group. Too many voices. The cloaked figure hissed, eyes narrowing as shadowy tendrils extended from their cloak, trying to grasp at the light. You think you can stand against the void? This place is mine. As they held hands tightly, Sarah could feel the warmth of their collective belief pushing back against the encroaching darkness. Together. We exist beyond this moment. She reminded them, letting her voice embolden the frightened souls around her. The light flared, growing brighter as they focused on their shared pain, their losses, and what brought them here together in the first place: a desperate desire for hope and connection. Anna. Now. Sarah cried, directing her friend's focus. Let us chant. Together, we stand. Anna shouted. The words flew from her lips, bold and resolute. The others echoed her, their voices melding, creating a ferocious wave of sound that shook the foundations of their fears. Together we stand. The creature recoiled, its distorted features twisting in rage. The cloak of the figure swirled, dark magic flaring up like a storm. Fools! You cannot comprehend the depths of despair that await you. It screeched, voice cracking under pressure. Can't we? Mr. Jenkins shouted, drawing nearer as the light expanded, illuminating every corner of the church. We've lived through the worst, we've seen the shadow, now we're fighting back. The creature lashed out, striking the ground with its claw, sending splinters flying. The air thickened with malice as it lunged. But the congregation held firm. Together, we survive. Sarah's voice pierced through the chaos, amplified with every heartbeat. The collective faith grew, swelling, powerful enough to push against the shadows that threatened to engulf them all. As the shadows writhed, Sarah's heart surged with a realization. This isn't just about fighting off despair, it's about embracing our scars. The light engulfed the darkness, sparking bright against the shadows trying to snuff them out. The cloaked figure seethed, eyes wide with disbelief. You think you can use your pain as power? You don't understand what you are bringing back. But then, in a flash, everything shifted. A rift appeared in the creature's form, fissures spreading like cracks in glass. The chorus of voices reverberated through its essence, shattering illusions and exposing raw vulnerability hidden within. Sarah stepped forward, emboldened. We may tremble, but our voices are stronger. We don't fear you. The figure's laughter became deranged, echoing throughout the chamber like a chilling wind. It grasped for control, but in that moment, they were united, standing firm. The light surged ahead, pushing away the shadows, beat back the coldness threatening to consume them, yet as the shadows receded, a deeper darkness slumbered beneath, dormant and waiting. What else would it reveal? With one last shattering roar, the creature vanished into the light, leaving heavy silence in its wake. But it was not over. A low hum echoed through the walls, more profound than before, a whisper of things still to come. What other truths awaited Sarah and her friends in this battle against despair? Would they survive the grave consequences of what they had awakened? The air was charged with potential as they stood among the remnants of shattered fear, breathless, awaiting the next twist in their fate. What lay ahead? They could feel it all around them, pressing closer. The silence hung thick in the air, a tightrope stretched between victory and the unknown. Sarah stood, heart racing, scanning the faces around her. Relief broke across the room, but it was mingled with an edge of trepidation. Their battle was far from over. What just happened? Anna whispered, her voice barely breaking through the heavy silence. A few murmurs arose, but the weight of uncertainty silenced them. Was the creature truly gone, or was this just a temporary reprieve? The flickering lights above them pulsed like anxious hearts, adding to the unease. We can't let our guard down, Janet spoke, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. It may be waiting for us to falter again. Sarah nodded, her mind racing. There was a sense of raw power coursing through her veins, an energy ignited by their shared struggles. It was a flame that needed nurturing, one that could either ward off the darkness or become a beacon for something far more sinister. Janet's right, Sarah asserted, her voice rising with growing conviction. We've fought it off for now, but we need to figure out what this darkness truly is and how to banish it for good. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the entrance of the church, causing everyone to jump. The heavy wooden doors swung open, slamming against the walls, creaking ominously. A figure stood silhouetted against the moonlight, framed in a way that sent chills racing down Sarah's spine. It stepped forward, revealing a gaunt man with hollow cheeks and eyes that gleamed like shards of glass. "You've released it," he rasped, voice gravelly and filled with an unsettling knowledge. Who are you?" Sarah stammered, instinctively stepping closer to Anna. The man chuckled, a sound devoid of warmth, and moved further into the light. "You've been playing with forces far beyond your understanding. The void will always find a way back." The congregation recoiled, fear twisting the air again. "What do you mean?" Sarah demanded, fists clenched. "Tell us how we can stop it." "It isn't just a creature," he said slowly, voice laden with dark revelations. "It is the essence of despair itself, a darkness entwined with every fear, every scar you've ever carried. You cannot just erase it, you must confront it." "What does that even mean?" Anna whispered, her eyes wide. "You must descend into the depths of your own pain, embrace the shadows within, before they consume you." The man's haunting stare pierced through the crowd. "You've touched its surface. But the deeper truth, that is yet to come." A shudder ran through the group. Each face mirrored the weight of his words. What if they had awakened something far more powerful than they could contend with? "What do we need to do?" Sarah asked, heart pounding. He took a deep, shuddering breath, and then whispered in a low tone, "You will gather in the place where it all began if you wish to understand your fates. But the path will not be kind. You must tread carefully. Without another word, the enigmatic man retreated, blending into the shadows of the church as if he were a part of them. Did you hear that? Sarah turned to Anna, panic rising again. What does this mean for us? How could we possibly confront our pain? Together, Janet replied urgently, reassured once more. Remember, it's our unity that matters. We can face this. We have to. But as Sarah looked around, she could feel it deep within her, a whisper of doubt, a flicker of fear, fighting against her thoughts. Could she truly face those dark demons? What more awaited them in the depths of despair that beckoned? The ominous silence hovered once again, thick and suffocating. They needed to prepare. But were they ready for the truth that awaited them? As they gathered closer, the world outside rattled, the ground beneath them still trembling from what had just transpired. The weight of choice pressed down heavily. One question gnawed at Sarah: what awaited them at the heart of their darkest fears? The journey was only just beginning, a harrowing descent into the abyss. Would they uncover the truth or fall into the darkness once more? The air felt electric, crackling with dread and uncertainty. As the man's words hung in the air, a thick fog of anxiety enveloped Sarah and her friends. They stood frozen, reluctant to break the ill-fated spell cast by the stranger's ominous warning. What place? Anna finally asked, her voice small, almost drowned out by the pounding of their hearts. The place where it all began. The words echoed back in Sarah's mind like a haunting refrain, each syllable a reminder of their shared history, a history steeped in unanswered questions and buried sorrows. We need to know what he meant, Sarah said, her voice steadying as determination surged. If we're going to confront this darkness, we can't do it half-heartedly. Agreed, Janet added, clutching Sarah's arm. No more waiting. It's time we face whatever it is head-on. The church felt cold and unwelcoming, shadows creeping closer as if they were sentient, eager to swallow them whole. Sarah glanced at the flickering lights, remembering how they danced like tiny spirits, swaying with their fears. Let us go, she said, breaking the silence. We head to the old park. It's where we first saw the creature, our nightmares took root there. As they moved toward the door, each step felt heavier, laden with the gravity of what lay ahead. Thoughts stumbled through Sarah's mind: had they truly unleashed something insurmountable? Was the approaching battle worth the risk of facing their past ghosts? The group emerged into the night, where the world outside had shifted. A thick fog clung to the ground like an ominous shroud. Shadows stretched long across the pavement, creeping like fingers reaching for them. The streetlights flickered warily, cast in a faint glow that barely cut through the darkness enveloping the park. I can't shake this feeling like we're being watched, Anna whispered, her pace quickening to keep pace with Sarah and Janet. Just keep moving. We're almost there, Sarah urged, though fear gnawed at her resolve. As they entered the park, the trees loomed above like ancient guardians, their gnarled branches whispering secrets carried by the wind. The place felt suffocating, the darkness pooling around their ankles like a predator poised to strike. The ground felt unnaturally cold beneath their feet. The shadows shifted, seeming to breathe with a life of their own. Over there. Janet pointed ahead to a clearing, the remnants of the very spot where their horrors had erupted. As they stepped into the clearing, an uneasy chill slithered up Sarah's spine. The air felt thick, almost tangible. And then they saw it, the old swing set, rusted and decrepit, cradling the weight of forgotten laughter. The undercurrents of their childhood misfortunes pulsed from the very ground they stood on. Why here? Anna's voice trembled, the full weight of their shared history pressing down like a heavy fog. Because this is where it started, Sarah replied, breath trembling slightly. This is where we need to confront it, to confront ourselves. Just as she spoke, a sudden chill swept through the air, a breath that felt almost alive. The swing creaked, swaying gently with no wind to move it. Shadows darted past, blurring the edges of their vision. Sarah felt the hairs on her neck rise, a warning blaring in her mind. They weren't alone. Did you see that? Janet said, her voice barely a whisper, eyes wide in horror. Before Sarah could answer, a shattering laugh echoed through the trees, a voice that was not their own. It reverberated, high and mocking, filled with an unsettling malice. "Welcome back," it taunted. Tension surged among them. They hadn't just come to confront their fears, they had stirred the depths of a dark presence awakened by their earlier actions. What now? Sarah's heart raced, every instinct telling her to flee, yet she stood resolute, anchored by the bond linking them all. "Now," Anna replied, breathing heavily, "we fight back. We face it together, remember?" But as they braced themselves, a whisper wrapped around them, a chilling reminder that darkness was as much within them as it was outside. As the laughter faded into a haunting silence, the question echoed within their hearts: could they truly confront what was hidden in the corners of their own souls? Ahead loomed the truth, and with it, the realization that some battles might bring more pain than they'd ever imagined. What awaited them at the heart of this darkness was yet to be revealed. The silence hung, oppressive and thick, drowning out the sounds of the night. The laughter still loitered like a shadow, twisting into every crevice of the clearing. Sarah clenched her fists, fighting the urge to turn and run. She faced her share of fears before. This time, though, it felt different, more twisted than the nightmares they shared. "Focus." Janet's sharp whisper cut through the tension. What did that voice mean? Before Sarah could piece together a response, the swing set creaked again. It echoed into the night, a mournful sound, reminiscent of a pained sigh. Each creak sent a shiver down her spine. "Maybe we need to trigger it," Anna suggested, her voice wavering but laced with a strange urgency. "We need to bring the past into the present." "Are you out of your mind?" Janet shot back, fear scratched into her voice. "You want to play with whatever that is? The past is our nightmare." "Exactly." Anna snapped, her eyes flickering with a wild spark. "But if we don't face it, it'll always haunt us." A figure weaved in the distance, a flicker among the trees. Shadows coalesced around it, like a gathering storm. Sarah's heart raced as she tried to make out the shape. The dread swirling around her was palpable, a living thing that dared her to deny it. "Stay behind me," Sarah said, stepping forward, her heart pounding against her ribs. As they approached, the figure defined itself, a twisted version of their childhood friend, Marcus, the one they had lost in that fateful night. His smile, once bright and inviting, now appeared grotesque, distorting his features, reflecting agony and darkness. "Everything you seek is here," his voice echoed, dripping with malice, yet tinged with the remnants of the boy they remembered. "You think you can change what has already been decided?" "Marcus," Sarah breathed, tears stinging her eyes. "We stop." He boomed, his voice shattering the air. "You trespassed into a realm you do not control. You opened the door." The ground trembled beneath them, the shadows swirling like angry spirits. Terror gripped Sarah as she registered each piercing word: rebellion, revelation, truths buried deep. They hadn't just come to confront the external darkness, but something within themselves that had festered for years. Old emotions, guilt, betrayal, those things were clawing to the surface, ready to consume them whole. "Do you want to know what really happened?" Marcus taunted, his eyes gleaming like shards of glass. "Do you think you deserve the truth?" Sarah felt her breath hitch. "We can't let you control us." "Control?" He laughed, the sound hoarse and broken. "You think this is just about me?" Around them, the night warped, looming branches bending unnaturally, like they were about to snatch them away. The air churned, thickening nearly to choking. They were caught in a terrifying dance, and they had no clue of the rhythm. "Fight it!" Janet shouted, stepping forward. "This isn't you. We're stronger together." "Stronger?" Marcus's form flickered ominously, the laughter twisting. "You couldn't save me then. What makes you think you can save yourselves now?" With that, the world seemed to implode. The clearing darkened, swallowing all light. A vortex of shadows spiraled around them, and Sarah felt her legs go weak beneath her. Panic rose in her throat as the darkness slithered closer. "Hold on!" Anna cried, grasping Sarah's hand. They formed a tight circle, their intertwined fingers anchoring them. Memories flooded back: joy, laughter, but also anger, regret. They had succumbed to fear before. Not again. Together, Sarah urged, her voice breaking but filled with a fierce resolve. "We remember who we are." In that instant, as if responding to their determination, a blinding light burst from the center of the vortex. Fearful gasps filled the air as the shadows recoiled, revealing glimpses of the horrors they had faced over the years. Each haunting moment laid bare before them, but the darkness roared back, disdain laced with the throaty laughter of their lost friend. "You think you can fight me with memories?" "Not just memories," Sarah cried, rallying. Her friends. "These are our truths. They are the pieces that make us whole." The shadows writhed violently. Whatever fought against them wanted to consume their resolve. The ground shook once more, and with it, the air seemed to crackle with possibility. The battle between the light of understanding and the dark of their past had begun. But as the light expanded, illuminating their petrified surroundings, a piercing scream echoed, drawing nearer and nearer, and then Sarah realized this was only the beginning. What other truths would they face? What had they truly awakened from the depths of their collective soul? The clearing felt electric. The light and shadows danced, two powerful forces at war. Sarah's heart hammered furiously as she faced Marcus, his figure twisted but still familiar. The air seemed to weigh heavier with each breath, an unbearable tension that threatened to snap like a taut wire. "Why did you come back?" His voice slithered, echoing with an unearthly pitch filled with sorrow and accusation. "Don't you understand? You've awakened something you can't control." Sarah stepped forward, clutching Anna's hand tightly, grounding herself in the warmth of their connection. "We didn't just come back to confront you. We came to confront our fears, our guilt, everything we left behind. We want to make it right." With a frenzied roar, the vortex of shadows writhed, as if responding to her challenge. The ground shook beneath them, as Marcus's figure twisted with frustration. "You think you can escape your past? You think you can redeem yourselves? It was your abandonment that lost me." The fear rose again, threatening to overwhelm. The shadows clawed at their feet, trying to drag them into darkness. But in that moment, something shifted. "Together!" Janet shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. "We are not afraid of what we've lost, what we've done. We're stronger than our past." Each member of the group felt the surge of purpose igniting within them. Memories flooded back, echoes of laughter from happier days, cherished moments that reminded them of their bond. "Remember the summer days in the park?" Anna recalled, her eyes fierce. "Remember how we laughed and played? We can do that again. We will rise against you." The collective strength of their memories began to shimmer, bathing the clearing in an ethereal glow. The shadows recoiled, their form flickering as if sensing the power surging against them. In that flickering light, Sarah spun, her heart pounding with newfound courage. "You're a part of our past, Marcus, but you don't define us. You don't get to control our reality anymore." The shadows screamed, a tortured wail that echoed through the landscape. But the bright glow intensified, pulling strength from their shared resolve. "Together, we embrace our pain," Sarah cried. "Together, we reclaim our truth." And then, just as darkness surged forward, the light exploded outward, blinding and brilliant. As it swept over the clearing, Sarah felt every fragment of sorrow wash through her, each tethered attachment that had formerly weighed her down. The pain of losing Marcus mixed with the joy of knowing they had loved him. They were no longer shackled by guilt, their past would no longer haunt them. Dazzling light engulfed everything, pushing back the shadows until they screamed in agony, pixels of darkness disintegrating in the brilliance. And finally, the darkness parted like a curtain, unveiling a bright path ahead. A silence fell over them, thick and expectant. They stood, spellbound, in the shared aftermath of their courage. The shadows had retreated, their cries fading into the distance, leaving echoes of pain behind but also whispers of freedom. "Did we do it?" Anna murmured, looking around as the light settled as a warm glow around them. "Together, yes," Janet said, clasping Sarah's arm tightly. "But we have to remember this feeling. It's easy to forget how strong we are." Sarah nodded, tears glistening in her eyes, but this time they were tears of relief, of hope. They had faced their fears, and won or at least borne witness to their worth. Suddenly, the park seemed to breathe again, the twisted branches above shifting gently in the cooling breeze. A feeling of nostalgic peace hung over them. "Let us go home," Sarah whispered, a genuine smile breaking through the warmth folding around them. As they turned to leave the clearing, Sarah felt each step lighten her heart, banishing the remnants of dread. The path ahead felt clearer, framed by the strength of their bond and shared pain, shadows dimming behind them. They stepped out of the dark, entering a new chapter, aware of the truths that resided in both light and shadow. "We'll never lose our way again," she pledged, knowing that their connection would guide them through whatever awaited, and back at the old church, the echo of their laughter lingered, no longer a haunting memory but a glorious tapestry of united strength, illuminating the fight against the encroaching darkness. This was their truth, their sacrifice, their victory. They had not only fought the darkness, they had embraced their scars. And with that acceptance, they stepped forward into a bright, new dawn. Now, head over to the channel, and you need to subscribe immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments with your thoughts and reactions about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means everything.